Welcome back to Good Morning Interbike. I'm your host, David, and in our last spot today, we've got something pretty special, a really neat anniversary that we want to talk to you about. I'm with David Zimberoff. He is the Global Marketing Director for SRAM. And by the way, I get this all the time from the guys at SRAM. Listen carefully. It's not
SRAM.
It's
not Scram. It's not spam.
Exactly.
Just SRAM.
SRAM is the right way to say it. Welcome to Good Morning Interbike.
Thanks, David.
It's great to have you here.
Good to be here.
You got this book in front of us.
Yeah.
It is SRAM's 25th anniversary. First of all, happy anniversary. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the founding of the company. I remember, and probably a lot of our viewers remember, Grip Shift.
Sure.
Is that really where SRAM's roots are?
It's absolutely where it was.
Yeah.
You know, in 1987, our president and founder, Stan Day, had this crazy idea. He was a weekend warrior triathlete training on the city streets of Chicago, and he had drop bars, and he had shifters on the down tube.
Yep.
And he wasn't the most accomplished cyclist, and in Chicago, our streets aren't that good. So there's the occasional pothole.
Yeah.
He found shifting a little awkward. And so he had this idea. He wanted to figure out a way to shift without moving his hands off the handlebar. And so he came up with this idea was, I just want to be able to twist my wrist on the handlebar. Keep my hands in the drops, but just maybe scoot back and just twist. So his idea was just that, a twist shifter. So he reached out to a friend who was a mechanical engineer and inventor, Sam Patterson, and together they created the concept for what is Grip Shift. Mm-hmm. Took about a year to prototype and figure out, but finally they figured it out, and hence Grip Shift was born.
And in the beginning, if I'm remembering the history right, I remember the initial response, there was about 50% of the people who said, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen, and about 50% of the people who said, that's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. Yeah. What were those early days like?
Well, it may have been more like 90% of the people thought it was crazy and it'll never work, which is often the case in the bike industry with new ideas.
Yep.
The early days were difficult. You know, we had aspirations of hundreds of thousands of grip shifts sold. I think the first year we sold 1,000. Which was challenging. We hit the streets, a lot of grassroots support, you know, pounding the pavement, getting to dealers, trying to convince them of the new technology. One of the big things that we started early on, though, was amateur racing and sponsorship, supporting the amateur racing scene, and that really sort of paved the way for some of our success, getting product into the right hands of the right people to help influence others. But it was hard. It took a few years, and it really wasn't until maybe 91, 92 where Grip Shift really started to gain some traction, and then the big shift was when Grip Shift went from road to mountain bike. Right. The mountain bike boom happened in early 90s, and Grip Shift was there at the right time. The industry was looking for an alternative to what was just 2 or 3 shifter companies in those days, and Grip Shift was an alternative. Yeah.
So now we move forward through your history, and SRAM really became an innovator in a lot of other ways as well. Where did you go from Grip Shift?
Well, from Grip Shift we turned to organic growth of shifter development to derailleurs.
Yeah.
Right. We went from controlling other people's derailleurs to wanting to control our own derailleur.
And that's really where you entered the picture, right?
I joined in about 94 and helped to design the first ESP rear derailleur. Mm-hmm. My background's in industrial design, and now I'm doing marketing.
Go figure, right?
Yeah. It's a fun connection now, because I know how to make the product, and now I know how to sell and market the product. But so from shifters and derailleurs, we then started to look at more rapid growth, and we sort of put our eyes on Europe and acquisitions. So part of our strategy has been organic growth internally, but also synergistic acquisitions. And in 1997, in 1997, we were fortunate enough to buy our first brand, which is no longer with us today as a brand, but the product line and the people are still there, and that's Sachs. Based in Germany. It instantly, overnight, gave us metalworking